Hi.
Hi. Sorry.
Oh, I love your hair down. I never see you with your hair down.
Thanks. It's a bit of a
How
mess today, to be honest.
so good. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm pretty good. Feel
Yeah,
feel good.
good. So I've been reading your coaching session form, and I have some celebrations I'd love to share. Can
Yeah,
I?
yeah,
There are so many, but so I just love it. So we spoke about that in your last session, how you changed your perspective from the negative emotions being negatively, like negative, and just talked about them as lower emotions. And so has that been like, have you been continuing along those lines?
yeah, yeah, definitely.
So good. And then you said that you really listened to what you needed, right? Waking up an hour and a half earlier and being and just noticing that maybe you had too much going on and just like deciding to focus on the most pressing and important to you, right? So that's a huge celebration, just that awareness instead of like keep going and just pushing through.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's one of my key things that's really been bringing me down. So I think I feel good about that.
I'm so happy for you. And then you said that you are working towards feeling the feelings, right? And creating a safe and loving environment. Like you were mentioning the example about like your boss and when she didn't really tell you something nice and then you went to your boyfriend. Have you kept doing this?
Yeah, so like the other day, how I realized that I was needed to sort of slow back down again is that like I was feeling really overwhelmed, and then instead of just ignoring it, I really felt into it, and then I talked about it, and then that's how it became really obvious. Like I'm doing too much. I just need to focus on a few things, and so what I did was the two main things, which was one was the waking up earlier on a morning and making sure, even just throughout the day, I had time to just be.
Mm-hmm.
And the second was when I noticed that I'm getting overwhelmed, I immediately stop and sort of just go, what do I need? Like even if time's really pressed, even if it's like at work, like there was a meeting starting in like 2 minutes time, and I was like, I'll just cut off another call and I'm stressed. So what I did, I was just like, I'm just gonna watch the clock and purposefully breathe for those 2 minutes, and I just felt that a little bit better, because I was like, you
Yes.
can even just make that little bit of time. I was like, just decompress.
I remember you saying that, how can you be okay doing nothing? And so I'd like to ask you that question. How are you okay in these 2 minutes, like with stopping and breathing?
I think one of the reasons that I'm so worried to stop is because I feel like all this overwhelm's gonna come at me in essence, and like the words I can't cope come into my head, and it makes sense because I'm running on empty, and like I am feeling overwhelmed, and the very definition of overwhelmed is it being too much. But what I've started to say to myself is if I take care of myself and like practice just when I feel overwhelmed stopping, eventually I'll feel less overwhelmed or I'll respond easier to it. And also, if I do stop quicker and respond quicker to the overwhelmed, it's not as much of a whoosh. And I've also noticed that when I do, sometimes when my mind is very, like when I stop, it's like literally goes from one thing to the next to the next.
Mm.
But if I do stop, then that and just let my mind do that, then it starts to slow down anyway. So like even though it feels scary, it actually helps. So
Mm.
like the idea that emotions aren't bad, that overwhelm is a sign that I need to take a minute, instead of it being like I can't handle this, it's a I need to breathe.
Mm. I love this because last time it was like, but how can I be when I have to do, right? How
Yeah,
do you feel around that? Do you feel a little bit more like there's a gray zone and it's okay to be in there?
yeah, like I feel like I'm starting to use being for me, like I say on a morning, like I'm looking forward to mornings more. Like I'm like, oh, I just get to do nothing, and it's like it's
Yeah.
just that nice. Or if I do have or if I do choose to do
Mm-hmm.
something, then it's usually something quite relaxing and something I want to do and enjoy. So like I watched a Christmas film before work the other day because I was like, yeah, I just want to have a relax. I want to feel festive. That's what I'm gonna do. So, but it's kind of that me time to just be like do or be whatever I want to. So I'm not always going, but sometimes I do find it still like I'll be like, oh, I've done this, and then I've gone to watch this film, and I'm like not really enjoying it because I'm like I'm feeling like it's a task. So like the other day I stopped a film like partway through, and I was like, man, I just need to breathe through a bit. I just need to not do anything, and then just I've just spent some time like literally just lying down and just like let's do nothing for 10 minutes. See how long 10 minutes feels like when you do nothing.
Wow, such beautiful explorations. Such beautiful. There was one more thing that I wrote. You said, while filling out the questions of the program, you said, I think if I take time to treat myself kindly in a day-to-day life, I will notice the greatest change in my happiness and self-love and self-confidence in the long run, and my spark will return. These thoughts are harmful enough to stop me loving myself and creating a happy life, and therefore I'm going to be kinder and more self-compassionate. I love you. You can do this. Come on. I just, you made my heart so full, and I was like, yes. Can you feel that more on a daily basis?
Yeah, and I've actually started noticing that I'm sort of kinder to others too. Like, so sometimes
Mm.
like people that stress me out normally, I'm like, oh, like they're good at this, or they're very good at conversation, or they're really encouraging, they're helpful, and it's like, you know, I'm just like noticing them things like because I'm taking that step back and I feel more. So and because I'm sort of noticing like my own struggles and stuff like that, and then I'm like, they're a person, they're so like that
Mm.
self-compassion's coming naturally, like really naturally. So that feels good.
Yay. I'm so happy for you.
Me too.
Now, I also noticed in your values that enthusiasm, love, and understanding was kind of the same as learning for you as well. Would you say that in your day-to-day, you are keeping in mind those values when it comes to making a decision about what you're going to do to be?
So I don't necessarily think that I mentally literally use them. I think I
Mm.
imagine them to be like literally core parts of myself. So like enthusiastic, like pretty much no one I've ever met has been like, oh, you're so unenthusiastic. Because I'm like, when I'm feeling good, that's how I am. I'm very enthusiastic. I'm very smiley. And I like to learn. Like, I'm always interested in, oh, how does this work? How does that work? So, like, it's more the case that when I'm operating at like full capacity, when I'm feeling good, these are just natural things for me.
Yeah, so it's not something you're logicking your way through, right? I'm going
No,
to do
it's
this thing
just,
because it's in line with my value. It's just part of you.
yeah, it's kind of like as long as I sort of take the breaks I need and look after myself, they shine through. So it's just like it's the making sure I do them steps so I'm feeling good, and then they just happen.
Good, good. And I also noticed something that I thought would be interesting to bring up today. You said being emotional is seen as the opposite of logical, and that logic is seen as the right way to make decisions instead of being guided by feelings. And so I'm curious when it comes to, for example, you were sharing the story about how your colleague speaks to you every morning and how it drains you. Um, how do you see the fact that you mentioned that, you know, being emotional is seen like it's someone else's perspective, but that you want to get out of that habit of doing the right way when it comes to the situation with your colleague? What is the first thing that comes to you that you would like as an outcome?
Like I want her to accept that it's okay that I don't want to talk every morning without feeling offended. Like
Mm.
I'm imagining her response, which is why I'm imagining her to be offended, and therefore I'm avoidant of causing that, I guess.
Mm. So what kind of control do you have over that?
Not a lot. I can frame how I say it more. I can frame how I say it in a positive way instead of being like, I don't want to talk to you every morning. Because obviously that will impact it, but I can't really control what she thinks, I guess.
So when it comes to not wanting to talk to her that morning, can you list maybe 3 things with me that you would want instead?
I guess just a bit of time on a morning to sort of plan my day. So like it's work time, so I'm like, we always have a meeting at 9, and I start at 8:30, and so she ends up taking like 20 minutes between like 8:40 and 9. So just time to plan my day, time to just have a bit of a breathe as well. So like sometimes on a morning I feel overwhelmed by the day, so I just want to I'm sort of transitioning from the being to the doing mode.
Mm-hmm.
So just have that kind of grace period for myself to ease into work. I
Mm.
mean, mainly just those 2 things. I just want to be able to have maybe a clear mind as well. Like she's sort of instantly filling my brain with information.
Mm. So I've written this down, what you shared with me. Have a clear mind. I'm going to put it in the chat, and I'd love for you to tell me, let's say I was you and you were your colleague. If I was to tell you, this is what I want, do you feel like this has anything to do with you as the colleague?
I guess if I was feeling ultimately defensive as the colleague, I would be like, oh, so I cause some of the overwhelm. But in general, besides that, then no, not really. It's just having a time to set themselves up for the day.
Yeah. I'm just curious if you feel like this would be helpful for you to come at it with a standpoint of, it's my workday and my energy matters to me. So I'm going to share it in a way that is about me. And it's not like you are taking my time.
Yeah.
You are being draining, right?
Yeah.
And you make it about you. Do you feel like that would be helpful?
Yeah. Like I feel like I could probably, because what happens is she doesn't always ring on a morning, but a lot of the times it is a morning. But even when she does ring in the afternoons or whenever, what happens is the conversation drags on, and like you feel like you can't leave. So like if I mean, it's fine to have a bit of a chat with a colleague, especially now we're working from home, like it's important, but I sort of never know when it's going to end. Sometimes we have really fun chats, and other times she'll be like very low mood, and it's like that. Then I feel that energy. So like I guess if I could say to her like, look, like it's really busy at the minute, and I kind of need my mornings to plan my day. Is it possible that we could actually schedule a time in to have these chats
Yes.
instead of just randomly having them?
But let me ask you this, Rachel. Do you want to speak with her 20 minutes at a time?
I mean, 20
Even if
minutes,
it's scheduled?
I wouldn't mind. Like, I have a lot of fun with her.
Okay.
She doesn't currently work in my team because of her health condition. She had to move to a different team. But when we were in the office, we sat next to each other, and we always used to amuse each other, and we were generally just part of each other's day, being quite bright and laughy, that kind of thing. But it's hard when it's very condensed, and that's the problem. It's not just a comment here and there, and it's harder to do work whilst talking to the person when you're because like when you're in office you can just be like, oh yeah, funny, or just give me a second. It's not as easy to do that. So like I guess segregating the time would be easier, because then I can also like set a time limit. Like I say 20 minutes on a morning, but she would talk forever. She would never stop. And that's part of the problem. Like 20 minutes here and there is not that bad, but actually I don't have that. The only reason I think she stops talking to me is because I can say I have a meeting to go to. So that's
So
like, yeah, it's hard.
is this a topic that you want to continue talking about, that boundary, or was there something else on your heart that you want to explore right now?
So I'm not very good with like assertiveness and, like I say, communicating my needs to other people. So this would be, I guess, part of a wider issue of not really knowing how to frame communicating with other people, getting across what I need without feeling like I'm putting it on them, especially because I've grown up in a family where, like, if you were upset, it was wrong, or it's kind of hard to, as an adult, be like, oh, I have all these skills to be able to express how I feel without getting overly emotional and all this and other, because I'm not very practiced at it. So yeah, I guess boundaries and like communication are an important topic to me. It's kind of not something I find natural.
And what would you tell your best friend if she came to you and she said, that's me assuming that your best friend is a she.
She is.
If she
So
came to you
good.
and she said, Rachel, I don't know how to set my boundary with these people. Like they're draining me. I want to tell them what I want, but like I don't want to hurt them. What would you tell your best friend?
I might need a second for this. I'd probably tell her similar to what I said, in terms of like, if they're taking up too much of her time, then sort of make her own time limit in her head and sort of stick to that. But like, it's sometimes hard because my best friend is very, very opposite to me in a lot of ways, and like, she's very good at her boundaries and she will just communicate what she wants, but she's also not scared of the outcome like I am.
Mm.
like I don't, she don't care about offending people. Like, she's quite happy to offend people and knows that it'll just pass, in essence. she just says what she feels.
Yeah. And is that something you admire of her?
Yeah, she's very good at just honoring herself, and like, I mean, sometimes she does give too much to other people. She says that herself. So I guess if I could imagine it from that side of view, instead of like, yeah, if I can imagine that like she's giving it. So I would say to her that you need to focus on yourself, that like she's the priority, that she can only give as much as she can, and that it's fine to not give everything she's got.
What happens if you, Rachel, give everything you've got?
I got nothing left. I can't. I'll be overwhelmed, and I won't function very well. I'll go
And
back to the do sort of thing as well.
right. And when you're in the do and in the overwhelm, does that serve them?
I mean, sometimes I can push through, and I think it does, but ultimately, probably not in the long run, because I then go back to not wanting to do anything and therefore will not give very much. It's kind of like, if they take too much in one go, I won't have anything left for them. It's kind of like that. I can imagine that, actually, because I do have a friend that is very take with your time. Like, he will talk to you about an issue, but he will talk to you to death about it, and you kind of have to be like, time up, in the nice way. But and I know that sometimes I avoid conversations with him, so I guess it doesn't serve them, because, like you say, you either stop giving because you can't give anymore, or because you don't want to, you will sort of resist.
So one thing that I just want to mention is I would love for you to acknowledge that there is something to celebrate here, because you are noticing that something is draining you. Right?
Yeah.
Remember the energy scale and the I'm important meter, and how, well, what drains and uplifts you. Like, you're seeing what drains you, and you're taking this inner decision that you do not want to be drained in the long run, right? This is huge awareness. So please, like, acknowledge that within yourself. Now, when it comes to avoiding conversations with people, like, I totally get it. I've had a girlfriend who, if I don't stop her, she'll talk to me for 2 hours. So what happens? I don't talk to her. And I text with her. But I'm curious, the fear that that I hear that there's a fear of, okay, wanting to disappoint them, but being judged. Is that what it is?
I guess I want to be liked. So like with my friend, my work friend Stella, if I, like, we have quite a lot of fun together and I don't want to offend her. And I also don't want I don't like disrupting the peace either. So it's like, if I say something that she doesn't like, then she's going to be annoyed at me. Then she's not going to talk to me. Then it's going to be, oh, it's not going to be good. Same with like at home and family. It used to be that you kind of keep your mouth shut, keep the peace, because if you said anything to disagree, then it starts conflict. And the conflict was never very easily solved. All it was just forgotten and swept under the rug.
Can we talk about that word peace? Can you tell me, like, for example, when you're saying it, you don't like to disrupt the peace. Can you tell me, like, can you describe to me what peace looks like in this case?
I can tell you what I mean in that. when I say that, I'm not sure whether this is a healthy version of it, but like, I guess when people aren't arguing, when people aren't disagreeing on topics, and that there's no like strong emotions going against each other. I guess it's like, to me, like people getting along. Seeing if I can dive deeper. I guess it's maybe feeling safe too, like being in a safe environment where you know that nothing bad's going to happen, in essence.
Okay, so are you feeling like when people get along, it means it's a safe environment?
Yeah, I would say that. And also, like, so I guess it's linked to safety, but also kind of being liked as well. So, like, liked and accepted at the same time. Like, to me, like, I guess peace is partially that people aren't questioning your decisions and that kind of thing. It's people not being overly negative to your life choices and judging you for what you want. There's some things that I think disrupt the peace.
Okay, thank you for sharing. Can you describe to me what inner peace would look like or looks like to you?
So if I ignored the outside world, then inner peace would be like following what I want, like listening to my heart and just being like, this is my true self. This is what I really want. This is what my heart or soul or whatever leads me towards, and sort of just living in a way that makes you happy without all the external nonsense.
Yeah. And I'm curious, if you take, for example, if you take the example of a family gathering, because I feel like this might be an example of not wanting to disrupt the peace that you're. Yeah. When people are arguing, and when people have strong opinions, and like, people start talking louder and like all of that, what do you think is behind that ultimately?
Sometimes it's misunderstanding, like not
Okay.
understanding the other side of the argument or whatever point. Sometimes it's just miscommunication. It's not exactly misunderstanding, but it's not portraying what you're trying to say in a way that makes them understand, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So it's sort of just perception of information.
Okay.
And maybe also taking your beliefs and sort of projecting them on other people.
Okay. What about also the need to be right?
Yeah, definitely. There's a lot of that in my family.
There's a lot of that in my family too, and I think in many families. right?
Yeah.
Where they just yell one on top of the other, like who's going to be the most right? Who's going to win the argument? Does it feel like that for you? Mm.
Yeah.
And
It's who knows best in my family, I think. Because it's not usually on topics where it's like there's a black and white answer. It's usually on topics where I think this is something that I want to do, but you shouldn't do it like that. This is the way you should do it. So it's like who knows best.
And when someone thinks they know best, what do you think is the fear behind that?
I guess they could either fear that if they don't know best, then they've been living their whole life in a way that's not the best way to do it. I guess if you're talking about family, it's probably about also wanting the best for your family members. Ironically, despite the fact you're screaming at them across a room.
Yeah. Okay, but on a personal level, if you think about their inner child, when they want to be right, when they judge other people, when they are arguing, and when they want to stand strong and they think they are protecting you, what do you think is behind that in their inner child?
Just wanting to be heard. That's probably the main thing, wanting to be heard and listened to, and maybe they want to matter to you, like in your choices, like they want to be part of that. And I guess some people take it to heart, like if you don't follow what they're saying, it's kind of like that you're not important in that. I don't know how to say what I'm trying to say. Like they want to be heard. They want their opinions to be valued. They want to be valued.
Yeah. So when they want their opinions to be valued and when they want to be heard and listened, if you have a feeling to when you want to communicate, you don't want to do it arguing. You don't want to do it because you want to be right. You don't want to do it because you want to show them you know best. So do you feel like the intention behind the communication itself, however it is received on the other end, do you feel like the intention matters?
Yeah, I feel like if you don't intend harm onto another person and your intentions are good, then that is important. Like I think that should take a lot of weighting, as well as like, and that's part of what I was saying about the whole miscommunication. It's not that people are trying to do this, that, and other and say this is right, that is wrong. It's they're not communicating their message clearly. So they might be saying, oh, it's better if you do that, it's better if you do this, it's better if you do that. And what they really mean is, I just want to make sure that you have all the information, you have everything you need, blah, blah, blah. And that's not communicated, because people are quite frantic in arguments and stuff like that. They're just trying to get it across in the most instant way they can.
And not everyone is a good communicator. what I would love for us to, or for you to feel into is there a way that you can remember your intention when we discussed about, for example, when it comes to your colleague, your intention, your desire is to have time in the morning to plan your day, is to have a bit of time to breathe so you don't feel overwhelmed, and you breathe into work like it's easy into work. You have a clear mind. That's your intention, right? For the day, that's what you want. Do you feel like if you communicate it with the foundation of, it's not, I want to make sure you are not disappointed or offended, but rather, I want to care for my energy here. Like, do you feel like coming from that point of view and that intention then is setting you up for good communication?
Yeah, I feel that's good. Like if you make sort of communicating the outcome and your intentions the most clear, and then you can sort of work out the best way forward. Like for example, like saying, I'm not saying that she's taking my energy. I'm not saying this, that, and other. I'm saying I just need a bit of time on a morning before we have a team meeting, just to gather my thoughts and to plan my day. When I've done that, I feel much better, and then I can give you much more of my full attention.
I love that. I love that. Where do you stand right now on the fear of offending her?
I feel like I can. I mean, I still think it's possible, but I feel like because I'd be coming from a place of like positivity, it'd be one, harder to be offended, and two, if she is, then that's really on her. Like, that's not a me thing. Like, I've done everything I can to just be like, this is just something I need. We can still talk. I just need to do it in this order.
Yeah.
And like, she can reply with whatever she needs. It's fine. Like, we can talk. But I feel like less responsible for making sure that other person is okay, because I'm doing what I can.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. And have you ever, I don't think we've talked about that together, but do you know when we walk down the street and, well, now it's maybe less,
Yeah.
less something we do, but when we walk down the street and we see someone on the other side, let's say, I'm making this up, someone on the other side, okay, no, something coming up is more like when we're in the car. Do you drive?
Yeah.
When we're in the car, you know, we can choose to be angry at the other person who just cannot press the gas. Or we can be like, man, you know, I hope that this person is happy to be slow, or like, or not even with a judgment. Just, my point is, when we judge someone in our car, I feel like this is a good example, because let's say these are two cars. This car judges this person. Does this person hear it?
No.
So how is this person, like, how does the judgment towards this person affect this person?
It sort of lowers your energy, your vibe. It just makes you stressed.
Right? What does it do to this person?
Nothing. Unless you're very aggressive. Unless you're very outwardly aggressive and start beeping.
And have a voodoo doll. No.
Yeah.
Okay. So when we talk, when we share, when we communicate, do you see that it only that there in no way we have control over how the other person reacts or even hears what we intended to say?
Yeah, that makes sense. Like, we can try communicate as clearly as possible, but it's not our responsibility, or is it our ability to change whether they understood?
Yeah, and I feel like when it comes to the fear of offending someone, it's kind of and wanting to be liked, the truth behind that is that it's all stemming from the perception that we have. Does that feel true for you?
Yeah, I get you, because like, I can look at some of the things that my family say to me, like in terms of like, oh, you should do this. I think this would be the best. Blah 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 blah. And if you took a real step back, you could be like, oh, they're just trying to help me, or they just want what's best for me. But in the moment, you're like, they're not listening to me. This is what I want. They don't care about what I want. Blah, blah. So yeah, I can see that. It's like your interpretation. Like, everything that you hear is basically, and like process, is your interpretation of what was said, regardless of whether that's the right interpretation. Also, when I'm in a car and like there's someone going slow, my head always goes, this is your chance to be patient. I'm not a patient person. So I'm like, this is your chance to learn to be patient.
Yeah. Totally. And there was something I wanted to say about, yes. Do you feel like if you came up with a way to protect your energy every time someone is communicating to you and not with you, and every time you are feeling someone judging you, do you feel like protecting your energy would be something that would be helpful?
Yes, definitely.
Do you have an idea of what I mean when I say that?
Yeah, it's kind of like you can kind of make sure that how your response to what they're saying or doing is something that keeps you feeling good instead of making you go down into the lower energies.
Okay. And how would you go about that?
So while you were saying that, I kind of was imagining like if I'm communicating clearly and having my best interests at heart, when people communicate with me, to me, at me, then I can kind of just say, like, I sort of like the idea of practicing being like, this is how this impacts me, blah, 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 blah. And that might cause some disagreements. But as with my boss the other day, it didn't. It caused like her to realize, I shouldn't have done it like that. I should have done it like this. And actually she changed for the next time. So I feel like if I sort of make my feelings known and do what's best for me in any moment, as long as I do it in a nice way, then maybe I can create boundaries. Like, I don't think I have the boundaries yet. Like, it's hard to maintain boundaries when you don't have them yet. So like, I can see that people, for example, at work will just drop something on me and be like, I need you to do this now. And it's kind of hard in our environment because it's social work, because it can be very urgent to be like, no, I can't do that right now. Sometimes it's not urgent, might be to them, or sometimes it's only urgent because they've made it last minute, in which case that's not my fault. So it's kind of like being able to communicate, actually, you need to do this today because I don't have time, I've got all this other work to be doing, and I would love to help, but I need more time in future. And it's hard because sometimes people don't receive the information, but like, I think to protect my energies, I sort of need to start creating boundaries and be like, so for example, so I told my mum the other day that I wanted to apply for this course that costs money, and like, my parents are normally very, don't spend money, mostly my dad, not my mum, but mostly my dad, but it's like £750, and that's a lot of money, but it might lead me to a career that I like a lot more than mine. So I was like, do you know what? I think I might do it. And I was telling my mum, but it'd be a lot harder for me to tell my dad, because my dad would be like, I think you should do this and you should do that, and that'd be a waste of money, and this, that, and other, and it's a lot of money, and blah, blah, blah. And it's kind of like, to protect my energy, I need to create the boundary of like, that's okay, that's your opinion, but it's my money, it's my life, and in a nice way. But it's, so I think to protect them, I need to create the boundaries, and to create the boundaries, I need to, in each moment, I need to be like, what do I need? What do I need from this other person? Is that what they're giving me, or they're trying to give me something else? And if they are trying to give me something else, can I let them know that's not what I need, or I need something else, and sort of communicate that to them?
I love what you just said. So many people forget to share what their need is when they start a conversation. For example, in a relationship, in a romantic relationship, saying, I need to be supported right now. I don't need you to defend the other person. I want you to support me right now. And then blurt out what you need to say. Like, these kinds of I need are so helpful.
So I guess the first step would be explain what you need. Explain your, not I guess intention, but explain your, I guess, expectation from the other person. They might not live up to that, but if you say, I need you to be supportive right now, or I don't want you to comfort me, I just want you to let me cry right now, or like, if you tell them, then they might not do that, but at least you've given it your best shot.
Yeah. Okay, when it comes to boundaries and the communication way, that's of course very foundational, right? What about like actual energy wise?
I might need you to reframe that question.
Maybe I'm going too far, but maybe not. So I'm just going to say it and then you can tell me if yes or no. When I talk about an energetic boundary, I mean like imagining, let me know if that would be helpful. Imagining that you're inside a big bubble. The bubble goes how high, how low, how to the side, to the back, to the front that you want, like however wide. And that bubble is whatever color you want. And that bubble allows you to either, this is the only kind of bubble I have, like it allows the energy to go like bounce back or get through.
Yeah.
And I'm just curious, when you have people who disagree or who you're afraid that you might offend, do you feel like that intention and the desire and your expectation of how you want to feel, do you feel like you can contain it in that bubble, visualize it, so that other people's energies and words and feelings don't affect your energy?
Yeah, so as well as like telling the other person what you need, you kind of have like a mental conversation with yourself, like at the end of this I want to feel relieved, or I want to feel this, or I want to feel that, and just make that your aim. So like at the end of it you hopefully feel relieved or blah blah blah, regardless of that other person. So it's like, say you were saying, oh, I want to do this training, and my dad's response is, that's a waste of money. I could be like, oh, I've got that off my chest. I feel relieved. Or he responded, not great, but I've said, look, it's something I'm really wanting to do, I'm really happy to do, and I'm going to do it. So regardless, I've protected that, oh, I'm enthusiastic. Like, so I guess it's like, it's making sure my response is what I want to be. So like, if I want the response to be positive, then I have to be positive, sort of thing. It's, I guess it's going to be tricky, I think, to get the hang of, but I like the idea, I like the premise. I think I can wrap my head around it.
I mean, it's a work in progress, right? And I feel like you're already there because you are already coming at it from a loving perspective. Like you already want the person to not be offended. And here, the opportunity here, what I see is that there needs to be a shift about not wanting to offend the person to wanting something for yourself instead.
Yeah, so the focus is me and not them. So
Yeah.
I can communicate with another person, but the focus is on how I want to feel at the end of it.
Because remember,
and how I can get that.
Yeah, because remember in the car story about how however you communicate, you can be in a shell of a car and nobody hears you, they hear what they want. And so the only thing you can control is what?
Your response, your feelings. Yeah, makes sense.
How are you feeling right now?
I feel good. Like I'm not 100% sure if I've got it yet, but like I'm gonna practice and see. But my head can already imagine scenarios. So for example, like if say for example, my colleague is just dropping stuff on my desk, like obviously metaphorically, because I'm not actually in an office, and just being like, so I can respect, even if she can't respect my boundary, I can respect my boundary and turn around and say, like, this time I'll do it. I'm always happy to help, but next time I need more time. And if I don't get more time, then I can't promise quality work or that it'll get done in time. And then, you can be happy with yourself because what you've done is communicate your need and sort of stood up for yourself. So like, I'd feel proud because I've stood up for myself instead of feeling annoyed because she's dropped it on my desk. I can be like, I've sort of put that boundary up and sort of protected that boundary and been like, So I know for the future, it should be different.
Mm-hmm.
If it's not, again, you just kind of reaffirm the boundary. But like the idea that what you want out of that is to sort of stand up for yourself, is to respect yourself. You want them to respect you, so you've got to respect you and say, I can't do this all the time. I need you to give me more time.
Mm-hmm.
So I
Totally.
guess it's kind of reflecting what you want from the other person and yourself. So if say for example I want more time in the morning, what I'm really asking for is I just need some compassion. I just need you to see that I just need a bit of time. So I need to give myself that time. In order to give myself that time, I need to just explain to her. So it's kind of like I guess reflecting what I want to put externally, internally. If that
I
makes
love
any
that.
sense.
Yeah.
It's a bit
And
bit strange.
when we do this kind of inner work, we are setting, we're trailblazers. Okay. We are, I imagine it as a field, and we're the first ones in the field, and we are cutting the long grass, but people are following behind. But
Yeah.
no, we don't see anything in front. So we're like the change makers. And so you might be one of the first to set those boundaries in a nice and compassionate way. And so it might be like, oh, but I can guarantee you that there are positive ripple effects to this kind of behavior. Do you believe that?
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. And sometimes it's like, so for example, the woman that like always drops stuff on my desk is always herself in a frantic mode. So like she then puts that out to other people. She's in
Mm-hmm.
a frantic mode and she puts it out to other people. So if I can be in like a calm, compassionate mode and just calmly explain, I need these boundaries, maybe she can take from that, oh, I need to be putting up these boundaries. I need to.
Yeah. I love how you said that, what you want out of that is to stand up for yourself and respect yourself so that other people can do that around you and for themselves too. I mean, it's pretty cool.
Thanks.
What was the most helpful for you today?
I guess understanding, learning that actually, because I hadn't thought very much about boundaries, never mind whether I had them. So like, I guess from this conversation, I've sort of become aware that I don't actually have boundaries and that I need them, and that it can be a boundary thing as well as just a communication thing. And that now I'm sort of excited to sort of set up those boundaries and see if I treat myself better and be like, I deserve more than this. I deserve the respect to have tasks given to me with enough time and this, that, and other, and I respect myself. Maybe I can get other people to do that too. Maybe not everyone, but maybe some people. Maybe if
Yeah.
I respect myself and say, look, this is what I want and I'm going to honor that, then maybe other people can do.
Mm-hmm. Totally. Yeah. Standing in your power. Standing.
Yes.
And do your parents know you're doing the tune-in program?
No.
You haven't told them.
No.
Okay. I was just thinking because when you were talking about the course, I'd be curious if maybe at the end of the tune-in program, if you can, if you feel like that's what you want to showcase, the growth and the things that have made you happier and less OCD, and I wonder how they would see that from something that is not tangible
Yeah.
as much as a course or a certificate anyway, we're not here to change them, but do you have any questions?
No, I'm pretty good. I'm excited to see what boundaries I can create.
Yeah, and I love that energy because boundaries, it's so nice if they can be flowy and something you experiment with, because especially if you've never really set them up, they're not physical. What are those called around the lawn next to the neighbor, like the fence?
Yes. I kept thinking barriers.
Yeah. Well, so boundaries are like that, but we don't see them, and so it really is up to us to set those up. And so I'm happy if you want to share with me when you're doing an attempt to set boundaries, and just before we go, my client Cassandra, she is also in the Master Your Self-Care program, and she once her workday ends at 4:30, and she would work until 6 most of the time. And so the people at her work would start giving her stuff past 4:30, and she would take them. And so at some point, her boss said, hey, can you do this today? It's urgent. It was past 4:30. And, after doing the tune-in program, she was like, nope, can it wait till tomorrow? And the person said, yeah, no problem. So it wasn't even urgent, but they take advantage of it because there's no boundaries.
Yeah.
So I'm excited for you to set those up and see how people are like, oh, right. Okay. I went overboard. Like,
Yeah, I get that. Makes sense.
Do you feel complete for today?
Yeah. Like, I guess the only last thing I have to say is that I feel like, with the list of things that drains you and the list of things that uplifts you, but actually there are a lot of things in life that drain you that you can't just get rid of. So actually the boundaries are really important to that, because you can sort of limit them. So I'm excited because I think that will naturally uplift me.
Totally. And because it's not about cutting them out of your life, right? It's about maybe diminishing, like instead of talking to your colleague 20 minutes, like, could it be 5?
Yeah. Makes sense. Cool.
I know you got this.
WhatsApp you all my success.
Please let me know.
Success. We're manifesting success.
Cool. Thank you so much, Rachel. And so Master Self-Care, we're a very tiny group. So it's going to be fun, because then we can really, go deeper and take this chance to, it's almost like going to be like almost like private. So that'll be really fun. And I think that's all I have to say.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I'm in the group now, so I'll send my video soon.
Yes. Awesome. Thank you so much. And I hope you have a beautiful night.
Yes. Have a good day.
Thank you. Bye.